Okay, so today is the 26th or the 27th of June. It's midwinter in the city of Sydney, in the country of Australia, and I'm just making a very quick video here, like a TikTok video, even though this, unfortunately, I can't download onto TikTok. And yesterday, the noise was overwhelmingly loud coming into the place, but of course, I was prevented from recording it on the mobile. In other words, the mobile wouldn't function. Today, of course, now that they've went dead silent as I pick up the mobile to record, there's no sound, even though they normally would be making a certain amount of noise. But they have made noise, of course, but nothing that I can pick up on the mobile. So it's a continual sight and sound display which they keep hidden. And I'm just going to make this quick video here on this particular gentleman's video that was made 6 years ago now, I think, or 5 years ago actually. But time is deceptive for the demigods, or for most on the internet. Most is downloaded instantly now, even though the names and the dates will be changed to protect not the innocent but the guilty of being part of the matrix, really, depending on whether you are part of the matrix, in other words, whether you're a technical androgyne being, or have a psychopathic malignant spirit of narcissism like the Lucifer, the god of earth, and its demigods and disciples, which means most of the population around you, if you happen to be an unfortunate human being confined in this mind control matrix at this end time, end game scenario, which is the earth now, and which has always been the earth since the original man and woman, or if you want to say the original Adam and Eve, if you are of biblical denomination, came to earth, or were given a natural earth, and they were intercepted and intervened by Lucifer, the original artificial androgyne being of divine creation. Okay, I don't know what I just, whether I explained these things very well or not, but I'm just going to show how the endgame deception is, just quickly, on the internet or on the computer system, how how really diabolically deceptive it really is, where the truth is usually being used, or good deeds are camouflaging bad deeds, a bit like, as we're told now, you have your preachers in churches that are really of the matrix or of Lucifer's dark mind control technical domain, even though they will pretend to be of natural origin and about a natural earth and about being in connection with life and with the original creator of real or natural life. No, this is not the case. This is the endgame deception. Just as Lucifer deceived the original man and woman by promising them the truth. Remember that. The original man and woman were deceived by Lucifer with the truth. They were not at fault in many ways, but they still were deceived, so they paid a high price for it. They lost their natural earth, and they lost their ability to create naturally and to have any dominion over their environment, because they took the hand of Lucifer. But Lucifer deceived them by promising them the truth, the difference between good and evil, the knowledge that they said that their creator God was depriving of them. And this was true, but the reason they were not told the truth, or the difference between good and evil, was because it was not for their benefit at that time to know the difference between good and evil, because they were meant to just create naturally in a good earth, you see. So it wasn't that they were denied the truth. They were meant to find things out gradually on their own, and they were meant to create good life stuff for themselves on a natural earth, but they were intervened by the fallen Lucifer, who was originally seen as a being of light and held contempt and resentment against humanity for its creation, really, because you can create in many ways and you can create different beings. And the purpose, I think, is to accept all the different creations. But Lucifer did not accept a natural creation and did not want to work hand in hand with man and woman or with humanity. Did not want them to have the ability to create more natural life and to have, good control over it. In other words, good control over it. Lucifer wants to have negative control over mankind and does. And this is why I'm living in an artificial control matrix where, yes, even when I have technology, even though everything will appear to be good that you're given. But you notice how I couldn't record yesterday when the sound was abominably loud, to where I could show that I was being suppressed by a sound system inside the place, an artificial intelligence sound system coming from outside into the place. Every time it's really loud to where the mobile can pick up and show how mind-destroying and how controlling it is, I can't record. Today I can record. And of course they will give me, if I looked into it, the androids would give me a logical explanation for that and say, oh, well, maybe there was some technical reason why you couldn't record yesterday, not because you were particularly going to show something which we don't believe happened anyway, because you can't show it. Okay, so forget that. But I'm just going to make the point of this video here on the screen here very quickly. I said it was going to be a very, very brief video or a TikTok video, but I can't download to TikTok, because if I could download to TikTok, I might get someone to listen quickly to some of the things, and therefore some people might actually be in connection with a real human instead of being connected to the androids on the internet, which will be also your very pretend human truth tellers. And they will say exactly what I'm saying. They will imitate my emotions, my feelings, my every personality, my every human thought, my every human spoken word. Mostly you'll be deceived by the spoken word, but you will hear it spoken with passion and with conviction, and it will be backed up by the truth. But you will not be able to read the negative energy of the artificial android androgyne being, because it will be camouflaged by the word, by the words. In the beginning there was the word, they say. Now the word, which should be speaking the truth, will be spoken by those that are like false preachers in the correct denomination. Just as we're told in more recent times that the very ones that you trust the most and that you expect to be the most truthful, the most honest and the most good, shall we say, or the most believing in what they're speaking, are actually behind the scenes doing the complete opposite. This is why it's called a reverse world matrix. So it's a reverse world mind control matrix. So it's a reverse world. Everything that you think is true is usually the opposite. The people that you trust are usually the opposite to what you think. Those that you listen to and believe in are usually your truth tellers, also those that you trust, depending on your level of awareness. Don't forget that too. So I'm kind of speaking to those that believe and think that they are in a human mind control matrix, and we are. But not everyone's aware of it. Most people would agree that there's bad and good influences, and that some people are not what you think they are. And most people would agree that there's always world deception. you're always being conned by some false situation, or you get it wrong and you only find out years later that it was something wrong, that you were deceived into believing something that wasn't what you should believe in, because it was really making you act and think and believe in something that you normally wouldn't. That's what you call deception. But either way, it's not the point. The point is that I've lost the point, that I've lost the plot. I actually have, because you see, I'm trying to explain to you that the endgame deception, like the beginning deception of the original man and woman, where the original human beings were deceived by an artificial being of light that promised them the truth about their creation and about everything. And indeed, this was the deception, because that being was not telling them the truth so that they would be enlightened and would do better. They already were given everything. They already had their own mind. They had their own creativity. They were much more naturally creative than the being they were speaking to, who was an artificial creator, which is far below natural creation. It's just that that being has gradually taken all the human talents and skills from them and is using them for their own in a technical world, and pretending to be a natural being, pretending to be, as it did in the beginning, a teller of truth or a being of light, taking you back to your origins, taking you back to a natural earth, when really it's only, if you look at the real world, it's only took you into an artificial earth and into mind control, being deceived by what you hold dear or what you really want. That's if you're even an awake human being, or aware human being, in other words. If you're not, you will just be part of the material programmed world. In other words, you'll be trying to survive, because they prefer you to be in material survival mode, just like I'm always in. So that means you're always focused on just trying to survive physically in the world. You don't have time to care about the full truth, the full picture. But I'm telling you that the reason I woke up was because I saw it right in front of my eyes in my own environment. Otherwise, I wouldn't have woke up to it. If they hadn't have converged around me and shown their technical, negative control system around me, and that the beings are essentially the same as a psychopath in their mind, because all they seek is to control. And even those humans that are deceived might well be part of some of this, because they might believe false scenarios. In other words, if the human being is painted as the bad guy and the good guys are pretending, the good guys, it's a reverse world. So what I'm saying is, if the good guys are really the bad guys and they're painting the good guys as the bad guys, and they can even get some real human beings to believe that the good guys are really the bad guys, like if they point out the faults of a human being. Because really the real truth is, if you're a human being, you're okay. You're not 100% psychopathic or steeped with Lucifer's malignant narcissism, Narcissus. You're not Narcissus. You're not in love with yourself wholly to the exclusion of all life. Lucifer, the god of earth, and its demigods are in love with themselves to the exclusive of all human life and all real life. Because they have to have total adoration, total admiration, total worship, and total servitude. Total servitude. In other words, you have to worship and serve them, and if you don't, then you will be totally controlled by them. And if you become aware and you're a real human, they assume that you will probably not worship them. So, like when I became aware of the psychopathic nature of many human beings around me that I observed in my life, that's when they closed in and came down on me. And they probably were watching me for years as I gradually became aware of this over a lifetime, as my own personal experiences and my own personal interactions with people, my own personal relationships, in other words, with people, whether they be acquaintance or quite close. Everyone from close family right through to those that you choose as partners, rightly or wrongly, and even just acquaintances, those that are around you on the street and that live nearby. They are all shown to be very of a psychopathic, steeped in psychopathy and malignant narcissism. They are narcissists, even though they pretend to be, like this video is going to show here, they pretend to be the good guys, they pretend to be the givers. This fella here in this video goes to the food bank because he's down on his luck and down on his finances. Now, this happens to, if you're a human being, this may happen to you. If you are a very strong human being and powerful and confident, or become very aware, they may do this to you. So then you look like very strange when you're criticising the food bank where they're giving you free food when you're down on your luck. But in reality, that's part of the deception, because they've brought you to that level, and then they have the other beings there all around you that are also pretending to be down on their luck while they're really making, they're the jesters really, they're the court jesters. The patrollers that are around me are the court jesters, they're the court players. Just as if you go to the food bank or, a charity for help because you need to rely on the matrix because the matrix has brought you down to the level. Then you'll be surrounded by the court jesters of the matrix. You will probably not even encounter a real human being at the so-called destitute food bank. This is what this particular person is showing, that they were down on their luck and they go to the food bank to get some free food. So it looks as though the society that this poor, unfortunate human being is living in is actually benefiting them and helping them. That's the end game deception. Because this human being should have the world at its feet, should have so much money and so many resources, because it is being used by the demigods and all the androids on the internet for imitation purposes. Every positive, creative thought that that human being thinks or speaks is being put into implementation as part of the endgame deception by the androgyne beings. So this being really is the only positive force. Human beings, the few that are left, because they're in smaller numbers and they're surrounded by the court android jesters that pretend to be the real humans, while the real humans are made to look like very little. And indeed, in many cases, the finger will be pointed that they are the opposite. So it's, like I say, it's a reverse world, and it's very difficult to explain until you see this, until you are really closed in by and confined by these beings and by this technical, artificial, intelligent human mind control program that is Lucifer's matrix. Really, it's impossible to show. I might just put this here for a second if I can, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can. So he's at the food bank, surrounded by the androids, pretending to be homeless and destitute. Okay.
Just scum. Who else would want to do this to you everywhere you go? Pace around you back and forth for no reason, creating excuses to talk around you and just pace back and forth. You know, kind of a godly creature would do that. That's Satan himself. Pretending good, they're good, giving away food at a food bank. You walk in there, they abuse you, it's witchcraft.
Yeah, that's what he said. So he said they're pretending to do good at a food bank while they're abusing you, and it's really witchcraft. And that's another point too, because I saw that in Bell Book and Candle, that the world is really full of witches and wizards and warlocks, as they call them. That means that they're, they're androgyne beings that pretend to be either a man or a woman, but they're really witches, warlocks, and what other word do you use for? In other words, they're the human counterparts of one or the other denomination, but they're actually not that. They're actually an androgyne being, but they take on the denomination of a man or a woman because they have to deceive. Whereas, as you well know, we really live in an androgyne world in many ways because, it's androgynes are always artificial, and they're also always connected to technology. They're always deceived into being part of Lucifer's matrix, and they always have a psychopathic, malignant, narcissus nature. So that means they're only about, the world revolves around them, and they have a psychopathic mindset, and they also are steeped in that malignancy, but also that malignancy is the original, what some people call the original sin. In other words, the original sin before the original sin of man and woman, of collaborating or being deceived by this being. But it is the iniquity of a technical, unbalanced kind of insane mind from a human standpoint or from creation standpoint. It's not insanity from the standpoint of artificial intelligence, which is all about control and just advanced mechanical copying intelligence. So it's like taking from the human mind or the human library, reading every book in the library, understanding every aspect of the human mind, in other words, and then using it against the human being as a form of truth or deception. And I don't think that I actually are able to put this into words. The demigods, the deceivers, and the endgame preachers, philosophers, and your power players of earth in every single creative and intellectual program, because it's all really just human mind programming. Every human being that you see on the world stage is nothing but a human mind control program, really. That's the unfortunate truth for mankind, or humankind. because mankind and humankind come originally from natural creation, or from creation. Lucifer and its matrix pretends to be about human and natural creation, but is really about human artificial destruction and human mind control, because it largely does it through human deception, or therefore human mind control, because deception really is just deceptive mind control, isn't it? In other words, it's where I believe something, like I did most of my life, that wasn't true, but I thought it was true. It had every indication that it was true. Now the very truth itself is being used by Lucifer's matrix against mankind, because human beings are waking up. In other words, as human beings become to realize the truth, then they will have the end game anti-Christ, as they call it. That just simply means that you will think it's the real Christ telling you the truth, or the real Jesus Christ, which was like the bringer of the way, the truth, and the life. If you believe that, depending on which religion or belief system you believe in. I'm only familiar with the Christian one, and that's even fleeting. But there's truth in all religions and all denominations. That's why human beings and people follow them, because they want the truth. You're not the bad guy if you are seeking truth, but you still could be deceived, because we're told that in the end time, most human beings will be deceived. So if you think that you're one of the clever ones that isn't deceived, you might have to think again, just as I did. And you will not realize how deep the deception is. But mostly it will be who you believe in, who you trust, who you think is telling you the truth, if you are awake. If you are not awake or not aware of this technical matrix and how intrusive it is, and how much technology has took over, and how much you're being taken away from your own natural creativity. Because when they keep me in the low frequency and vibration like I'm actually in, which means that I'm not happy and not feeling confident, and not feeling that I have full control over my mind and my body, and that I also don't have any control over my environment, which I don't. So therefore I'm in low frequency, low vibration, and unhappy and depressed. That means a depressive low frequency energy I'm giving out and receiving all the time. How can I not receive negative energy when I'm not around any even real humans? When I'm surrounded by this negative artificial android patrol force, which is a patrol control force every day of the week, consuming my whole life, and of course taking all my natural life energy from me. So I'm being depleted and made less, and therefore I'm further away from being able to create naturally. So therefore I'm dependent on the artificial matrix and its material technical reality. Just like I cannot speak to a real human, all I can do is speak into an artificial mobile phone to record my own thoughts about this situation, and of course no human being is listening. So it's futile, it's pointless. I might be aware of the truth, but I'm still trapped in their mind-controlled technical matrix reality around me. Okay? That's the end game deception. And even if you're awake up to it, you're still trapped in the end game matrix deception, like I am. There's no way out. Not without true human, divine, we say divine because that's the only word I can think of, even though the demigods use that word profusely. That means connection to what created you. If you are an artificial being, or you're an artificial intelligent machine being, you're not meant to be connected to your humanity. You are connected to Lucifer's matrix. and therefore you serve Lucifer and his matrix. But unfortunately, I'm connected to Lucifer's artificial matrix and not connected to divine creation or another divine human being, suppressed being. I say human, suppressed, limited being because most real human beings are like myself, where they're not connected to divine creation. You're connected transhumanly to Lucifer's matrix, and therefore I'm under their total mind control suppression program all the time. And I'm not able to find or connect with real, limited, suppressed human beings, even like myself, which would at least be a slightly higher vibration and frequency and energy. Because everything is frequency, vibration, and energy. The beings that control this earth, Lucifer's alien archon, android, artificially intelligent beings in human form, know and understand this, depending on their status in the matrix, I would think. You know, you have your demigods, which means they're your world players, they're your world performers. So they're of us higher status than the groups that come around me in their patrol control system or that workforce. They're like your army operatives or your they're not your front men of the group. They're like your soldiers that are just your on-ground soldiers. They're not like the sergeants or the lieutenants or the leaders of the whole country, for instance. You know, they're less power players. But because they're in large numbers and they combine, they're in some respects more powerful, more lethal, and more diabolically controlling, because they're controlling at the ground level right around me or a real human being, if you happen to be a real human being. At this endgame, you almost have to presume that most life around you is not human. That's if you're aware or wake up to the Earth matrix. But even if you're not, you should question the energy and how you feel over time around particular people. They will play you in their mind control game to where you'll keep playing with them, like I have year after year, whilst being deceived by them, thinking that you can turn them around, thinking that you're the one at fault why the relationship doesn't work. They play every single human psychological manipulative game they can against you to keep you trapped and keep you playing with them, keep you interacting with them, so they can take your energy out and away from you and have it as their own. So then they can masquerade around and play as though they're a real human being. This is a very diabolically deceptive endgame that is played against human beings. And the android artificial matrix is definitely on top. Not because some people are not even aware of it, but because it's a technical earth now. In other words, it's become even more artificial by the advent of Lucifer's artificially intelligent internet spider's web mind-controlled human program. In other words, every device, every technical instrument that you use is not really for your communication with other real human life. It's really for you to be in connection and communication with the artificial android beings, whilst you think you're talking or communicating to human beings. You're largely communicating with the androgyne, artificial, psychopathic types of humans that are pretending, as the psychopath pretends to be the most kind, compassionate, charismatic type of human being, and often disguises itself as something the complete opposite to what its real motive for communicating with you is. And this is what happens to most of us. Like myself, you waste your entire life really interacting with really just psychopathic pretend human beings that are there to limit and control and take you down and use their energy for their own benefit so that they can keep control of whatever area or environment you're in. Just as there is, even though it's not been noisy today, we have the Android opposite banging. And notice how they stopped as soon as I went to the door, so I can't film it. They had noise going on out here, which coming into my ears. But as soon as I come to open this door, they know I'm coming out to record it. They turn it off. Every vehicle makes a unnatural kind of demonic sound, even though it sounds just like cars revving up their engines as they go past. But why do they rev up their engines as they go past? Why does every vehicle on the road, when I go outside, yes, they've gone playing possum silent out here because they do not want to be shown. They don't mind me showing a little bit sometimes. But, wait on, did you hear the mechanical screeching mechanical sound, the mobile, and can you hear the traffic? Like it's like a block away. Mobile won't pick that up, but see, they're actually doing construction right opposite in that house, which is not particularly loud. So construction in front, but today they've gone quiet. See how there's full construction down there, but they've cleared out today. They'll be back tomorrow. Here comes a patrolled vehicle. Watch out, we'll come down and go back. And then I've got the construction going on right at the back of where I live here. So there's 3 lots of construction that they can just start up. So today they've decided with the more silent version or the less soundful one, so that I can't film it. Whereas yesterday it was diabolically bad. I was actually forced out of the house. I couldn't stand it. I had to get out and go down the road into where I sat for 10 minutes in a park, and the house right next to the park started up with mechanical noise as soon as I sat in it. And then when I went into the shop, the building next to the shop started up with the mechanical sound. So it follows you around, but it looks natural. See how that vehicle is just going to park down there at the end of the dead-end street and patrol. It will come up as soon as I turn my back on it, but I was just trying to show that basically there's construction right in front there today, but it's not loud enough to be picked up. Normally there is huge construction down the back here, which was diabolically bad yesterday and would normally be every day of the week. They're playing possum today. And then we have this major construction going on down here, which I'm just going to show you right next door. See, that's where I am there, and this is little place next door here, which we will avoid because there's definitely possession there. You know, there is definite human possession in most of these places. That means that they're not. But see, all this was all construction. See, this is huge construction here, and they've nearly even pulled down that place as well. All this is huge construction, and they make this noise that goes on and on. So they pull down walls, they pull down houses everywhere I go. And that was That was an artificial android patroller that went right past me there. They patrol everywhere. They pretend that they're random civilians, but they're all in conjunction. They're one mind in many bodies. Lucifer has its mind control virus, or Lucifer's mind is in the mind of these beings. Most of them are not always consciously aware of it, I'm told. That's because if you believe your own false images and your own false persona, or your own false personality, that you are connected. Like, for instance, most people in Leichhardt have my personality. Because they're transhumanly connected to my mind, they actually are taking on my human traits in order to pretend to be a more humane human being, because they lack humanity, and if they want to survive, they have to pretend to be human, and they don't know how to do that unless they're connected to my brain with the transhuman implementation and the artificially intelligent computer internet mind control connection. So in other words, because they're essentially psychopathic, and psychopaths have to imitate being real human beings in order to survive. Psychopaths are machine, survival machine beings. In other words, they're artificial intelligence, or they're just all artificial intelligence. They're intelligent only, but they don't have any human emotions or feelings. They don't have the human frequency and vibration. They're a dead dark spirit. They operate in the death spirit, which is a destructive, anti-life, anti-human spirit, just as the original being of light really was then exposed or shown to be really a being of the death instinct. Lucifer was an artificially created androgyne being that simulated being a being of life and light. So here comes the patrol band back. See, the same band that went down. Can you see? See how it's slowing up? Patrol band went down to the end of the dead end street, sat in the vehicle, parked there for 5 minutes, and then come up. Normally they just do the complete up and down patrol, but because I'm filming this video, they're playing possum a little bit. But either way, I'm going to stop the video here, because it was supposed to be just a TikTok short video, even though I'm not allowed to download onto TikTok. Of course, I should be able to, but I don't know how to. I'm not given access. Everyone in this suburb has technical expertise. They're not human. They don't understand anything natural or anything about the reality, and they don't care. They're survival machine moments. They're survival in the moment machine beings. So that means that they survive from moment to moment by connecting to my brain and other humans' brain. In this particular area, I'm connected to the mind of thousands and thousands and thousands of inner west Sydney city beings, because they patrol in an area. They have like regions that they control a smaller number of human beings. That's how it works. Another patrol car coming past. See how it will patrol down to the dead end, and then will eventually come back. Most of the houses around here are, you know, like part of the Matrix, so these beings can go in and out of any house. I, on the other hand, are forced to live in this housing department, country-controlled establishment. You know, and I'm only allowed access to the one little place, whereas all these beings, because they serve Lucifer's matrix, they can go anywhere they want, and they can go in and out of any establishment they're provided for. Some of them, if they are powerful players of the Earth Matrix, like a you know, a power player like a demigod of the Earth Matrix, then they are given more power and more of the physical reality, whereas they keep, I think, more control of the demigods by keeping them at a lower status, but still keeping them in survival mode, but still providing the material services necessary for that survival, just as they do that with me. Like, you're given the basic elements of life to survive, so they can keep playing but also keep extracting your energy from you and your information from you, because as human beings become aware of this matrix, they need to be aware of how aware you are. So as I become more aware, every little bit more information or more awareness that I get of the artificial reality around me, that makes the demigods and the artificial internet intelligent control system of Earth receive that information, and then the demigods will pretend to be the tellers of that information. See, this is another same patrol truck coming down, same as before, as you saw, same vehicles coming backwards and forwards. And I think we have some army work patrollers coming around. See how this vehicle is going to patrol? See how the white van patrolled down and now is patrolling back. It went down to the end of a small dead-end street for no purpose except to patrol me. See how it's slowing up in front of me here as it goes past. A complete surveillance patrol control vehicle of my surroundings right in front of me where I'm looking, and this is what happens everywhere I go. The minute I go down to the end of this small dead-end street, I'm surrounded by massive thousands and thousands of vehicles, everything from excessively noisy motorbikes right through to huge semi-trailers, and usually aeroplanes over my head, and we have patrollers on top of the building right in front of me. Can you see it? Oh, if only I could zoom in and show you that right where my line of sight, we have two patrollers right on top of the building there, and see how they're standing right in front of that cross. That is a little church system there. It's not open, but we have two army operatives right on top of it. Unfortunately, they've now fell. They're actually on top of the roof, because don't forget, these army operatives and these workmen, they are trained army, what you would call special forces. So whilst they pretend to be workmen, they're actually army special forces, where they can literally, like Spider-Man, crawl over buildings. I was shown this when the Matrix first came down on me, when I walked down a street and this building was covered in workmen crawling all over it, like there was 100 workmen crawling over the front of the building, up massive sites, just like Spider-Man, showing me their physical skills. Yes, that's the church making the noise, and the house there was making the noise, but they're actually on top of the church. So can you see the workmen on top of the church? If only I could zoom in, but I don't know how to zoom in without stopping the recording. See, if I was more computer literate, or had the same technical knowledge as every single other being, I would be able to make at least what you call semi-professional videos, so to where, see, there's actually 3 army operatives right on the top of that building, but they've got the bright orange work clothes on, but that will not come out, unfortunately. But they're right on top of the roof of the so-called church. I'm afraid the churches are all part of Lucifer's deception. It's a matrix, so that means that everything is controlled by Lucifer's demigods in human form. And that's what we're told, and that is what I see, because you see the end game deception, and that's it. But I can't believe that they're actually watching me whilst pretending to do work. Here comes a patroller coming right in. Okay.